Hello, motivational strategies and changing trends. Under this podcast series, this is next episode. Time, whether absolute or relative, but it was absent. Space was unknown. The skies were unfamiliar. Don't know how much time was elapsed, but appeared like the deep cryogenically frozen eyes were first time opening up. They were just thawed and they were opening. Nothing was clear around. The light and some frequencies were going in. The genetically engineered brain cells, which were not supposed to die anytime, they were thawed out at the same time. But what was going inside those just opened eyes, that was not making any sense to that brain cells. They have simply lost all the contents. Carefully monitoring SSPT, the super specialized pre-trained quantum computer hologram was observing. He understood, even though brain cells are alive now from the hibernation, they have lost all the contents. An immediate DMA access request was raised, direct memory access. The stored quantum memory was started flowing into the brain cells. Things were improving, but it was not still clear. SSPT gave another, a different booster shot this time, a stem cell shot. The stem cells were supposed to regrow and regenerate the brain cells. The original ones were still lacking the content. The figures outside were now at least visible but not understood. The brain cells had a pattern and they were trying to match it, and it was not making any sense. But things were improved. They were able to see a faint blue spot which was disappearing slowly, slowly. Suddenly he heard he some voices come inside, and they were saying, "Mom, look, there is a heaven in the sky." But that heavenly object was disappeared. He clearly remembered. And then everything was dark. The booster shot worked. The fully opened eyes asked the brain, "Who I am?" Obviously, there was no answer. SSPT quantum hologram signaled something more. Now, there were certain objects started appearing, and he flagged down. They started absorbing. After everything absorbed, Only one thing makes sense. All other files were emptied for some reason. Only one figure was probably made sense, and that freshened. It freshened. He started feeling the surrounding. Who I am? Question asked again. You are a man and machine. He heard something other than his voice, his thoughts, and certainly the words came from over his shoulders. He saw another figure. Being not understanding himself, he couldn't compare, but it was a different thing. He asked, a man, a machine? What does that mean? Answer came, you are a carbonic object, carbohydrate object, and there are implants. You have the chips, you have the silicone chips. That's why you are a man and machine. Do you remember? You were dropped in here. Again, the refreshing sequence happened, and he remembered they spotted something, and afterwards, he was ejected and he lost everything again. So I'm dropped here? Yes. Then where are others? He remembered there were several of them. The companion voices said there were trillions of objects were identified. We couldn't spare more than one single thing. So it's only you. The self was still coming up, even though the quantum computing was the super fast available, it was still very slowly coming up. That emotion was still developing. That was only one emotion. He asked, what is this? Why I'm floating? He felt he was not grounded. What are these two things? First time he was observing the sky, and there were two unknown bright objects he could see. A sun, moon. The voices replied. They understood what he was thinking. Voice said, those are not what you think about. They are not sun and moon. They are the two stars. And you are in the middle of it. The original brain cells now fully active. They rejected. You cannot be middle of the star. Are we orbiting the stars? Voices laughed. That's where is your old training material. You are in the new environment. You are in the middle of the star systems and the stars are orbiting around you. How that's possible? It is. They are outside of your galaxy. It was an isolated cloud and they observed this phenomenon. The stars were orbiting, and in the middle was the planetary system, a stationary planetary system. Stationary? Why I'm floating? What's happening here? You are appear to be floating because the gravity of this planet is very less. The planet is hardly moving. It's the stars are orbiting around it. That's how you see the change in the light. He now started observing that all the objects were stretched. Is it because of that? Yes. Here you are observing the quantum state as well. Now he started understanding why the voices were coming from all over, because they were coming from some random place. Nothing was stationary. Everything was stretched, moving, but within the space. That was the quantum state. But how stars are orbiting? That's the system. Here, you have to forget what was in your solar system. Here, the things are immortal. They don't go through the sequence. In the solar system, it will be birth, sustenance, and destruction. And again, the cycle repeats. In this environment, these they are in a state of equilibria. Consider action A plus action B produces action C. The action C in terms under the condition, energetic condition, again produces action A and action B, which creates it. So it's a simple reversible reaction, and they stay in a state of equilibrium all the time. The brain has no knowledge about this. It only knew the birth, sustenance, and destruction. But how did we know? Didn't know this? The answer came because your star, your sun, doesn't let you know that. How? It has its own magnetic field. So it whatever it allows you to see, that's only your instrument could see. You have to come out of the heliosphere, then you could see something else. You have to come out of your galactical magnetic field, then only you will see the universe. And that's where all these phenomena are there. You only understood the Big Bang or the start, the sustenance, and the destruction. Universe is not a singular one. It has so many other states. This was all new. That's how he understood he was floating, because there was no gravity, because the planet inside was not moving or very slowly moving. So that made the gravity was almost absent. Only the stars will be revolving around them. So is that the new environment? The voices said yes. He understood that one file downloaded is now taking full effect. That was the only one, probably the basic instinct was coming. All other files were lost, so he didn't see anything. It was making the thing very fresh. He asked what he sees outside, what are all those things? There were several objects were scattered around it. What are these? He asked the question. I am man, I am machine. Suddenly, the emotion which was downloaded probably had taken the full effect. He looked around. The other objects probably were having the same impression. The next moments were undescribable. When they come out, they saw those objects were now moving and trying to form into a shape. He asked, what are these? The voice said, they are the creations, object of creations. So we are the creators? Yes. Wait, I'm man, I'm machine. First time he had a question. Then what about you? What are you? The companion voice said, I am fully machine. A machine? So you are not dropped in? No. Only you were dropped in as a physical object, and that SSPT is your software. That's the creator. He created or 3D printed me just before you. So you are not man machine, but you are machine. She said, yes. Because I don't have the carbohydrate system. I am fully silicon. But what are all these things? Why they are coming together? That's where the creations are happening now. The SSPT now looks like generated several small scale GPTs, and they were tirelessly working to sew all these things together. And the new creations were happening. So all these creations will happen and it will become the old world. He remembered the old world. It was how the creation happened. The machine said there will be difference. Since here there is no start, sustain, destroy cycle, it will be state of equilibria. Everything will remain in equilibria. Only thing, accidental destruction of the energy, that's the only way it will be. In that time, it will be reproduced. The SSPT will reproduce it. Otherwise, everything will remain same. The way this energetic cloud has been preserved so far. Everything will stay in a state of equilibria. But how they get how they will sustain if they are. The machine replied, it will be the semiconducting reaction. Semiconductors will keep, when you have to put your, the planet will give you the resource, and that's how it will be. His older brain cells still have some content, and he was feeling there is no one basic instinct, there are more than that. Currently, they were observing only one instinct, and the creations were happening. The brain cells were telling there is something more, that SSPT might regenerate later. But till that time, that one emotion was the only one. There was no positive reaction for that. There was, if we call that the truth, then that was the only one emotion because the untruth was not present. There was no sin, though everything was piety. Everything was love because envy was not there. But that man machine was, his brain cells were telling that SSPT might generate those emotions some point in time. But till that point, this was the age of truth on those known planets in equilibria where there was no death possible.